The German man received his new uniform for the first time, but it had another man's name on the collar, so he returned the uniform. The officer removed the name tag. Paul smiled happily, not realizing that there were many more name tags piled up onto the table. The so-called new uniform had been worn by other soldiers a few days earlier. When those soldiers died in battle, their uniforms and shoes were stripped off and sent back to the rear. The women workers washed away the blood stains. The seamstresses repaired the tears. And finally, the old name tags were cut off. Sometimes the labels were forgotten because of the sheer number of uniforms. The cleaned uniforms were then distributed to the young German recruits. Paul was so excited that he put it on immediately. The next day, the new soldiers were eager to go into battle, but their smiles soon disappeared. French artillery fire rained down on them. Paul quickly put on his gas mask. Before they even settled in the trenches, they were using their helmets to scoop out water. That night, Paul was sent to scout the front line, but when a flare went up, the enemy launched a fierce artillery strike. Paul dove into a trench, trembling with regret for joining the army. After surviving the night, he saw the trenches full of corpses. He was ordered to collect the name tags of the dead. It was then he finally realized where his new uniform had come from. 3 years later, Paul had become a hardened veteran. Under enemy fire, he no longer felt fear. He skillfully dodged bullets as the Germans stormed the French trenches. Paul even reached the enemy command post. While enjoying the captured food, the ground suddenly shook violently. Even the rats fled in panic. Sensing danger, Paul ran out and froze at the sight before him. Massive steel tanks were advancing. Bullets bounced off helplessly. The tanks crushed everything in their path. The Germans hid in panic, but were still overrun. The soldiers completely collapsed and fled. After such a devastating defeat, the German government finally signed an armistice. But just as Paul thought he could finally go home, an officer obsessed with honor ordered an attack an hour before the ceasefire took effect. By then, Paul was numb, like a walking ghost facing the enemy. In the end, his name tag, like those of countless fallen soldiers before him, was taken away by a new recruit.